Hello and welcome back to my channel. For this card, I am starting out using the largest of the large stitched rectangle stackables dies from Fawn. I have cut out a panel and then I am using this Sizzix embossing folder, and I'm just going to add this detail to the very top portion of my card. And of course my card will be horizontal, not vertical. Now that that's finished, I am going to take this brick stencil and I'm going to layer it underneath my embossed detail. So I will be inking this up with Gathered Twigs Distress Oxide ink. For this, I do not want it to all be super flat, so I'm not really being careful as far as blending it to a solid color. I am leaving dark spots and lighter spots intentionally. This will just give it a more normal brick look. Next, I'm going to take this Build a House die, and I'm going to use the main house piece for this. And I'm also going to ink this up with the same stencil and the exact same ink. Now for the white of the bricks, well, between the bricks, I didn't want it to look so harsh, so I am going over it with what's left on my ink blending tool. After that, I felt like the main part of the house, well, the front part, that was from the Build a House add-on, it was gonna be a little too flat against the rest of it, so I did darken the edges of that just a little bit. For the roof, I am going to use hickory smoke. When I started this, I really wasn't sure if I would like it or not. Like right here, I was just like, ugh, that looks so bad. I wish I would have changed the color or left the color that it was. But I carried on and it looks fine. So sometimes you just gotta go with it and see what things look like. Also, excuse my toddler. He insisted on being part of this process, so you'll see his head pop up a few times as well as his little hands, and he's also moving stuff around on my desk, like that stencil. Alright, I have my steps that I had ink blended gray, and then I have these little strips that come in the regular Build a House die set from Fawn, and I think this is supposed to go at the bottom of the house. I'm going to use this at the bottom, but I'm also going to use it at the edge of the roof, like right up here. Most of my pieces I'm going to adhere down with liquid glue. They'll just be flat, like these little long, I don't even know what you would call them. These little strips right here, those are going to be flat, but this front portion of the house, I am going to pop it up with some Big Mama foam tape. This is a fairly thin foam tape, so it's not going to have a whole bunch of dimension to it, but just enough that it kind of pops away from the rest of my panel, just a little bit. Now, I think I did forget to show you, but that little pitched roof piece is from the Build a House gingerbread add-on, I believe, is what the name of it is. I will have all the products I use linked in the description box below. For the stairs, I did have to add foam tape just at the bottom so that it was level with the front portion of the house. I mean, I guess the whole house is the front part of the house, but you know, the one that's sticking out the most. For my windows behind each one, I just layered a little white piece behind it, and I sort of ink blended with whatever was left on my yellow ink blender. Like right here, I was trying to do that. Also, please excuse this extremely shaky camera. My toddler at this point was trying to mess with it because he realized I was recording and just wanted to play with my phone at that point, I think. All right, here's another piece that is from the gingerbread add-on as well for the houses. I think the only difference in it is the little embossed detail. This one has like a wavy horizontal line, whereas I think the other ones have a dashed vertical line. All right, so I added the door. For this, I am using the tree house, little tree foliage cluster things. I don't know what you want to call it. I'm using them as shrubs. So I die cut them out of a stitched rectangle panel as well, just to give it that extra stitch detail. I am using Rustic Wilderness just to give it a quick color. I'm going to also add some splatter just for some extra texture. And then I'm also going to use this exact same color and method on these, well, I'll show you in a minute, I haven't got that far. I'm just attaching these. I think I attached these with some foam tape as well, yeah, just to make it not so flat. All right, my other bit. For the stitch teapot, I pulled out this little flower detail thing, and I'm going to use it as a wreath. So I cut out the very centers of each one, which, let me tell you, that was a little bit tedious. And I have 4 of these, 1 to go on each window and 1 to go on the door. But for these, I'm just inking them up with the exact same Distress Oxide I used for the shrubs. And I tried to add some splatter. Of course, these are so tiny, it is really difficult to get splatter detail to really hit those tiny little pieces. It seems like it goes everywhere but where you want it to go. Anyway, just gluing them to the very centers of each window and kind of higher up in the center of my door. Now, I'm going to take this mushroom house die set, and I am using it for the tiny little lock. And I do have the little doorknob, and at some point I did try to add it, but it just looked too messy on my door. There just wasn't enough room. Now, for these lanterns, I think this came from the pumpkin house die set, and that's one I didn't show you as well. But I just ink blended the main part with the Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide, the same ink that I used on the roof. And then for the yellow glow of the lanterns, I did the exact same thing as I did with the windows, just using whatever was already on my yellow ink blending brush. As you can see, I put that doorknob up there. It does not stay. It looks a little ridiculous, but I moved on. I decided that these little, I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be like the greenery part of some flowers that go inside of the little window planters for the regular Build-A-House die set from Fawn, but I decided they looked kind of like lights to me, so that's what I'm using them for. So I have cut some of them a little bit smaller to make them fit for what I want, and I'm just lining the top of my roof with these little pieces. I plan on adding some extra detail later. Now that all my little lights are attached, I'm going to take Nuvo Drops in several colors and create the little lights and extra details. So for this, the red is red berry, and I'm just trying to count the spaces in between each one so that I don't have any like clustered together in a weird way. Of course, there is one spot where I kind of messed up, but it's fine. It still looks okay. My next color is Buttermilk. Also, for these colors, I was really worried that they wouldn't look very Christmassy because I don't have a ton of good colors for this, or at least I thought I didn't. My blue color is Double Denim. Also, I worked from left to right and top to bottom so I wouldn't smudge anything. My next color is Sugared Almond, which I don't know why, I just love that name. Something about it seems appealing to me. Maybe it's just me. All right, and then finally, for my green, I have Green Apple. So something I knew I wanted was little bows on my wreaths, but I didn't have a die small enough for that. So I'm just taking my Nuvo Drops in red, and I'm trying to make the bows. This was kind of annoying, and I did try to use my pokey tool to feather out the bow tails. These aren't perfect bows, but they give the illusion of bows, so I guess I'm okay with that. For this card, I did decide to leave it without a sentiment because I really didn't know where I would put a sentiment, where it wouldn't look a little strange. And I did think that if I gave this to somebody, they could maybe put it on their mantle or something, and it could be sort of a Christmassy decoration. So, yeah, I don't know what I'll do with it yet. A lot of my cards just get shoved into a box because I make them because I like to, not necessarily because I have recipients in mind for each card. But anyway, after that, my card is complete. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll be back with another video soon. Bye!